tomorrow night. Let's get into our predicted lineup. Just before we do, though, a big up to our sponsors, Stocks FC. We've been enjoying their platform very much recently. It's the footballer trading platform. It's your chance to get your stocks in your favorite players, and we've most definitely have been doing that. If you use our link, QR code on screen and link in the description below, you get 5 free loan players when you sign up, which means you get to keep all the profits those players make at the end of the loan duration. But let's go and see how we're doing on Stocks FC at this moment in time. We've got our stocks in Jed Spence.
Yeah, Spence on the up, 2% increase, and same with Mamouche, who had the IPO the other day as well. He's on a 1.2% increase. Richarlison still leading the way at 60%. Mateta consistently high. Romero being seen back on the grass. He's on a 20% increase. But a few players on the decline, unfortunately. Watkins down 38%. Vicario down 26%. I think the Son and Solanke ones as well, but I'm confident those can turn once, especially Solanke comes back from injury.
Yeah, and we told you as well that Stocks FC were doing a surprise IPO launch on Sunday, and that is now ready to purchase, and that player is Martin Odegaard, $2.30 per stock. Only 860 has been taken out of the 25,000.
After that disaster class against West Ham.
Yeah, exactly. So, look, make of that what you will. I'm not here to make any decisions for you, but that is the surprise Stocks FC IPO that went live on Sunday. But be in it to win it, guys. Like I said, we've been enjoying this platform so much. And if you want to join, link in the description below, QR code on screen. But let's get into this predicted lineup, and let's start off talking about the injury news going into it. And the graphic is getting smaller and smaller and smaller as each week progresses.
Yeah, we've still got 4 centre-backs out, though. So it's not exactly perfect, but he said Romero, Van de Ven, Solanke in line to potentially be back for the first against RZ in 7 to 10 days' time, as well, with the Bournemouth game coming up after that. So they're going to be put on hold, I think, until that game, unavailable for tomorrow's game against Man City. Ben Davis, Ange claims, has been playing with a niggle for a few games and wanted to give him a rest. Was hoping to have him back for this game, but said he's going to give him the week break before the RZ game to get ready, so he's going to be unavailable. Dragoshin's obviously out for the season with the ACL, and Richarlison hopefully not too far behind Mickey, Akuti and Solanke with his return. So hopefully after the RZ game, you know, that will be we're hoping, fingers crossed, it will be just Dragoshin really left.
Yeah.
But can't count your chickens with Tottenham around. You never know.
Yeah, so let's get into it. 4-3-3 as per usual. In goal is obviously going to be Vicario, and he's had such a important return since his injury. Was vital to us in the early stages of that Ipswich game, and in the game prior to that as well. Just made against Manchester United, made so many top saves, didn't he?
For sure, and he's been great having back. I know the keepers, Austin and Kinski have done well in his absence, but you just see the difference in quality. There was a reason why we were calling him one of the best shot stoppers in the league, and I think we kind of underrated how much we would miss him when Kinski came in, and he's just been absolutely phenomenal in the last couple of games. No surprise that the goals against have gone down as well, and his handling's been brilliant. And the last time he played Man City, we won 4-0 and he kept a clean sheet. Now it's probably his best performance in the Tottenham show. He was absolutely phenomenal, and he played that game with a broken ankle, which is mad to think about. So hopefully a similar performance without the ankle this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving into the defence and right back, I do think Pedro Porro is going to come straight back in. Obviously, he was on the bench given a rest against Ipswich. You've got Jed Spence there as well, who played right back, but I think it will be Porro.
I think so. I think he got a rest on the weekend with a view of coming back into the game against Man City. I think he's a very important player for this kind of game, because I think his passing range and his quality is going to be vital for those maybe passes in behind when we're on a breakaway and being very direct. However, you could say, with the likes of potentially Doku and Savinho on the wings, would we be better served playing the likes of Jed and Doggy just to make sure we're not getting roasted in those wide areas, whereas Porro, we know, can have his days where he's not up to it against those level of wingers. So I think there is a chance we see Jed and Udogie keep their place just because of that fact. But the fact that maybe with Porro rest, I think when he's well rested, he's much better in those actions than when he's tired. So hopefully the rest, he'll be all right, even defensively.
Yeah, and as well, I think they just want to ease Udogie back into it. Had a good hour against Ipswich, performed really well, particularly in that first half. And I think, they're just going to ease him back into it. Like, if Udogie was fit for, the last month or so, I think it would be more of a question. But because he's been out for quite a while, I think they're just going to err on the side of caution with him a little bit.
But is there a case for Porro and Udogie with the amount of minutes Spencer's been playing recently?
Yeah, definitely. There is a case for it. I just feel it will be Spence, and maybe in a week's time you're going to see maybe Porro and Udogie back on the field. But if Spence is going to be left out of any match day squad at the moment, it's going to be kind of harsh on him. But I do think with the amount of football that he has played, we do need to start managing his minutes a bit.
Yeah, agreed. But so we're going to put Spence on the left here.
Yeah, Spence on the left.
Who's just playing too well. He's, you can't leave him out. Not man of the match on the weekend, but still an unbelievable. Got his first goal anyway, and he's been the topic of conversation a lot over the last.
He did get man of the match, didn't he?
Did he get man of the match against Ipswich?
Maybe not.
He did against United and against Brentford.
Who did get man of the match against Ipswich?
Brennan maybe or Son? I can't remember. I don't know. But you just can't leave him out. He's playing too well, and I think against the likes of probably Savini on that side, we're going to need, I think, Spence and the form he's in to keep him out. That's also one thing that's just going so under the radar. Like, we're praising for his dribbling and his ability on the ball, but defensively he's just been brilliant as well. It's so hard to get past his physicality. He's got unbelievable physical traits. So yeah, I think he's going to be very important in this game.
Yeah, mate, he's had Mo Salah in his back pocket twice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though one of them we conceded 6 goals. But
and he got 2 of
them. In centre-backs, I think it pretty much picks itself with Danso and Archie Gray, seeing as Ben Davies is out, Dragoshin is out, Van der Ven's out, and Romero is probably, it comes a bit too soon for Romero. Yeah,
that is what kind of Postecoglou's saying. I guess the question is, do we keep Danso on the left and play Gray on the right again, or is he going to switch it back? I think he'll play Danso on the left. Yeah, I think he will play Danso on the left again. I think it was fine for the most part. I think Gray had his struggles early on, but adjusted. Danso, I think as well, he kind of positionally looked a bit out of sorts at the beginning, but then once he got used to playing on the left-hand side, you saw him getting confident and started dribbling out of situations. And we're going to need him to be brave. Do you reckon they'll rather be playing Haaland or Mamouche on tomorrow?
I think they want to play both.
They want to play both.
Oh, you're talking about our players, do they?
Yeah.
Rather, I mean, I think all being well for City, they would want to play both, because I think they had such a great kind of when they played together in that game against Newcastle, they just looked like Haaland just took all the players away from Mamouche and blah blah blah. But I think if they only had to play one, I think they'd probably say, I don't want to play Haaland. Yeah, don't, because he's just so big and strong. Well, Mamouche is in the better form, you could argue, with that hat-trick he scored against Newcastle. But either way, it's going to be so difficult for them. We know that Man City like to get their strikers involved. So I think that's one thing I'm worried about. As much as Gray's done well, like in this kind of game, is he going to struggle against that City front line? Let's hope he's up to it. That's one thing I'm kind of a bit worried about. Yeah, I'm worried about the dual threat of Haaland and Mamouche. I think if it is one of them, then it's much easier to handle than when it's both of them, because you know where to focus your kind of attentions on. But when it's both of them, you're getting dragged left, right, and all sorts. So it'll be a really hard day at the office if both of them are playing. But
I just hope they don't target Gray. That's what I'm worried about.
So you can have that physical mismatch of Haaland against Gray. Let's move into the midfield, starting off with the 6. Are we thinking Bentancur?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because obviously we always call for, do we need rotation and things like that, but Bentancur's been the one obviously playing most games recently. But with this game coming so short of, a few days after the Ipswich game, is there a chance Basuma comes into this game with a view of Bentancur coming back in for RZ potentially? Or do we think he's just going to go Bentancur again because he trusts him more?
I feel like he does trust Bentancur a lot more. Basuma's been on the bench for the past 3 games. but he did start in the 2 games prior to that. So I feel like it will be Bentancur, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's Basuma. I'd prefer to see Bentancur. I just don't really trust Basuma in these big games.
Yeah, I think he makes too many mistakes. Who started when we beat them 4-0? Was it Bentancur or Basuma?
When we beat Man City 4-0, let's have a look. Basuma started that game with Sarr.
Basuma, Sarr, and Maddison in the middle, and then Decky on the right.
Yeah.
Could he go a similar team to that, or was he?
Could do. Sarr and Basuma were both on the bench against Ipswich.
Because would he want to just potentially wants to freshen things up? But
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't use it against him if he wanted to freshen it up. I could see the thinking behind it. I just feel that he will start Bentancur. But look, I wouldn't be surprised if Basuma starts. I'm not sure.
Because I think clearly Bentancur is the more trusted player. But as well, I don't think it's like Basuma's never going to play again. You know what I mean? I'm sure he's going to start games. But is he going to be on this occasion?
Like against Aston Villa, he started Bentancur, and then he brought in Basuma for him at half time. They are still seeing Basuma's still seeing like good minutes.
Yeah, but then at Anfield it was Basuma and Bentancur, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was both of them. So, all right, so we're going to go with Bentancur then in the middle. I think Maddison was on the bench. I think he definitely plays in the 10.
Yeah, 100%.
I think he definitely starts, considering as well he got a brace at Etihad. We know he can play Man City and played brilliantly when he came on against Ipswich as well. So he plays. So I guess the big question, does he put Sarr in or does he keep with Bergvall in the 8?
My personal preference would be Bergvall just because he's playing at such a high level at the moment, and Sarr isn't really playing well. Hasn't done for a while now, to be honest. Pape Matar Sarr. I got a feeling he might just go for Sarr and Bentancur in a double pivot with Maddison as a 10, just because of Sarr's elite kind of energy levels getting around the pitch, and he hasn't had too much game time over the past couple of weeks. But I really hope he goes for Bergvall.
Yeah, I want to see Bergvall. I want to see him at this kind of level of game as well. But I also got a feeling he's going to go for Sarr because he also scored that goal against City in the Cup as well. He has good form against City. Started that with the 4-0 win. He hasn't played too much recently. But then again, apparently that's because of a knock. So is he ready to start the game? I guess we don't even know. But he was on the bench. I saw him in training, just watching the training video. I think either way, whoever starts probably only gets an hour with the other one coming on. So should we go with Bergvall then? Because I want to see Bergvall.
Are we going to go with Sarr? Or are we going with what we think Ange will do? This is a predicted lineup of what we think Ange will do.
So let's go. What do we? All right, so let's go with Sarr then.
Thing is, like Bergvall will be very disappointing on his part to miss out because he's done nothing wrong to not be in this team. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Where Pape actually just hasn't performed well in a while. And Bergvall, the last time he played against this kind of opposition at the Spurs Stadium was that game against Liverpool, and he absolutely smashed it that day.
Yeah, I personally would want to see Bergvall, but he's also played a lot recently.
Right, let's go for Bergvall.
Although he came off on the hour, didn't he? Against Ipswich?
Against Ipswich, he came off...
Was it 78 or was it 60? Or did he not come off at all?
No, he played 90.
Oh, he played 90. Okay, yeah. So I think on that basis, maybe it will be Sarr.
No, he did come off.
Yeah, I thought he came off, didn't he?
Yeah. Trying to think when he came off. He came off... he came off on 85th minute.
Oh, okay, only 5 minutes. So on that basis, seeing as he played pretty much 90, maybe it will be Sarr.
All right, let's go for Sarr then. I mean, yeah, it could be either. And I prefer to see Bergvall, but I wouldn't mind.
I think they're both going to play.
I
think they're both going to play a part in this game. Front three.
Yeah, on the right hand side, obviously the obvious choice is Kulusevski. Obviously Johnson started and scored 2 goals. Again, my personal preference would be to persist with Brennan Johnson, just because I don't think Kulusevski is at those physical levels. I do believe he's going to go for Kulusevski because he just never seems to give Decky a rest. But I think he should go with Johnson.
I think he's going to go with Decky as well. I think Decky obviously loves playing against Man City as well. I thought he was brilliant when we last played them. We do have a bit of a break after this, so I think Decky will be relishing to play this game. I really do. So I think he won't be able to leave Decky out. I just think he's going to put him in again.
I just think it's a bit of a silly decision to play Decky. I know he usually relishes the Man City games, but usually he's not running on empty when we come up against Man City. And we say, he usually goes up 10 levels when we play Man City, but this is a different Kulusevski, man. He's just not physically at the races at the moment.
He scored last game. You saw that relief that he had in him when he scored. So maybe that goal will give him that little bit of a boost. I don't know. We'll see. I think he's going to play him, though.
Yeah, I mean, there's one thing, like, if you're suffering from form, but there's another thing if you're just not physically at those levels, and I just think that's the case with Decky.
I think that's fair as well, but I think he will play him.
I do agree, to be honest. On the left-hand side, it will be Sonny, who had a really good first 45 minutes against Ipswich. Again, he's another player that's just played so much football, and he could probably as well do with the rest. But when you're looking at the options, you've got Odebear there, who's been back for a number of weeks now.
Only got Mikey Moore,
Mikey Moore, but Odebear is the one that looks really exciting when coming on both games, but he has had limited minutes.
Also got Werner back as well, but who scored in the cup game against City, but I don't think he'll play him. I think, obviously, Son was brilliant in the first half against Ipswich. I think I think in these kind of games, obviously, we know how City play, and Son is usually quite effective in these kind of games. I think if Odebear had come back a few weeks before, we might have seen Odebear, but because he got 5 minutes against United, 20 minutes against Ipswich, I think we're just going to keep building that. So maybe we'll see him a bit more.
Give him half an hour.
Yeah, half an hour on this one. I just don't think he's going to start just yet. So I think Sonny will start with maybe Odebear getting half an hour.
And then moving in to the number 9, obviously Matisse Tell is the obvious option. Dane Scarlett came on and did well against Ipswich. Obviously grabbed that assist with the header. But I think it will be Matisse Tell. And Matisse Tell needs to have a much better performance than what he showed at Portman Road. I mean, he was our worst player by far. And I do think this is the game where he can come alive a bit more space for him to operate in. And I'm backing him to get a goal, actually, in this game. Yeah,
it should suit him a bit more space to run in behind. I think a bit more space to operate in the central area. I think maybe he just lacked that physicality when there was squeezed space to really get away from those Ipswich centre-backs. But the way he competed with them was pretty disappointing. But I think we're going to want to give him that time to bed in. We've obviously signed him and he's come here to play. Doesn't mean he can just stink the place out every week and keep playing. I think he's going to have to show some quality, but I think he has done in other games, and just because he has a bad game against Ipswich doesn't mean he comes immediately out of the team. I think he'll continue to start, but I think if he plays similar way, I think Scarlett's there ready and waiting to come on. So I can see Scarlett coming on in this game if Tell has a similar performance.
A few people are talking about this in the comment section, which makes me think that it could be an actual option about maybe playing Decky at false 9 and Brennan on the right.
That could be possible. I wouldn't mind that as well. We've seen Decky there, even as well. We've also seen against Man City Son play up front, and he's done quite well, because in these kind of games, this is more of a Son up front kind of game than maybe others. So maybe that's also something we might do.
Can you really leave Johnson out after scoring 2 goals as well last game?
The only reason I say you probably could is because he's just coming back from injury, and he played an hour because they only wanted to give him an hour on the weekend. And because this game is a quick turnover, you could justify saying to Johnson, look, you were brilliant on the weekend, but we just want to manage you. So you'll be on the bench, but we'll give you, you'll come off the bench with half an hour to go and just build your match fitness up. You could justify it with a view of maybe him starting the RZ game.
But do we need to justify? I mean, he came on. He came on the previous game against Manchester United towards the end. Started the game and got an hour against Ipswich. So I mean, he should be able to play this game.
Yeah, I think he will play. I just don't know if he'll play from the start.
Maybe because it's 2 games in the space of a
That's
week.
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Probably start out.
The only thing is, I'm looking at front 3, and I know this front 3 has done well against City previously with the space City leave, but Not Tell, but I know Son and Decky have. But I feel like if we had Johnson and Odebear there, especially if they were in full fitness, I think City would struggle even more against those two. I feel in their current situation, because I'm looking at how they play. They just leave so much space out wide. I kind of would love that space to be exploited by 2 absolute speedsters. But I think that front 3 has enough about them to cause them trouble.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if it was up to me, the front three I would probably play is... well, the front three I'd like to see play is Brennan Johnson on the right, Odebear on the left, and Tell up top. I think I'd like to see that front three.
Oh, well, I think that's what I'd like to see as well. But I just feel like just because they're not... I don't know if they're fully ready to start yet. I mean, obviously, Brennan did start. I don't know if Odebear's fully ready to start. I just got a feeling that he'll probably go with that. But maybe we will see Decky given a rest, or maybe we'll see Decky in the middle. Who knows?
Anyway, what are options to have off the bench as well? Like whoever starts, if Johnson starts, if Decky starts. Imagine Johnson starting, and then they see Decky warming up with half an hour, 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic. Fantastic.
But that is our predicted lineup. We're going for Vicario in goal, Porro right back, Spence left back, Danso and Gray in the middle, 2 at the back, Sarr and Bentancur as the double pivot with Madison in the 10, Decky on the right, Sonny on the left, and Matisse Tell up top. So that is your predicted lineup. And do remember to get yourselves involved in Stocks FC. Link in the description below. QR code on screen. 5 free loan players when you use our link. But let's move on, guys.